Welcome to our deep dive into the zero carbon plan. Today we're going back to basics to understand how we can all contribute to a zero carbon future. You hear it everywhere, right? Zero carbon this, net zero that. It can almost feel like a schoolyard game of tag, you know? Everyone's talking about it. But what does it actually mean? And more importantly, why should we care? Is it just another trend, another hashtag to add to our already overflowing digital lives? I don't think so. This isn't about being trendy. It's about our planet, our future, and quite possibly giant squids. Okay, maybe not giant squids, but definitely our future. So buckle up. Let's unpack this whole zero carbon thing together and figure out how we can all be a part of the solution. Let's be real. Carbon emissions sounds like something out of a textbook, right? But here's the thing. It's not just about complicated scientific terms. It's about understanding the invisible stuff we're putting into the atmosphere and how that impacts, well, everything. Think of it like this. Imagine a giant bathtub. That's our atmosphere. Every time we burn fossil fuels, driving cars, using electricity from power plants, even making a pizza, we're adding more CO2 into the tub. And that CO2, it acts like a giant space heater, trapping heat and warming up the planet. That's what we call global warming, or as I like to call it, the ultimate planetary fever dream. And just like a fever, it comes with some pretty nasty side effects. Extreme weather, rising sea levels, and even disruptions to our favorite ecosystems. So, yeah, reducing carbon emissions. It's not just about saving the polar bears, although, let's be real, they're pretty awesome. It's about saving ourselves. Okay, so we know we need to reduce carbon emissions, but what does zero carbon even mean? It's not about completely eliminating every single molecule of carbon, because, let's be honest, that would be impossible. Think of it more like a balancing act. On one side, we have the carbon we emit into the atmosphere, and on the other side, we have ways to remove or offset that carbon. A zero carbon plan is basically a roadmap, a strategy to get those two sides in balance. It's about finding innovative solutions to reduce the amount of carbon we release in the first place, while also investing in things that can absorb the carbon we do emit. This can include everything from switching to renewable energy sources like solar and wind power, to planting trees and restoring ecosystems. It's about creating a world where we're not constantly adding to the problem, but instead working towards a sustainable future. Let's talk about those renewable energy sources, because they're pretty much the rock stars of the zero carbon world. Remember those fossil fuels we talked about earlier? The ones that are basically the villains of our story. Well, renewable energy sources are like their cool, sustainable counterparts. Think solar power harnessing energy from the sun, a giant ball of burning gas in space that just keeps on giving. Then there's wind power, using those giant majestic turbines to capture the power of the wind. But it doesn't stop there. We've got geothermal energy, hydropower, and even wave power, all using the Earth's natural resources to generate clean, renewable energy. Switching to these sources is like trading in your gas-guzzling car for a sleek electric vehicle. It's a major step towards reducing our dependence on fossil fuels and transitioning to a cleaner, greener future. Okay, picture this. You're trying to fill a bathtub with a leaky faucet. You can keep pouring water into the tub, but if you don't fix that leak, you're going to waste a lot of water, right? That's kind of what it's like with energy efficiency. It's not just about using less energy, although that's definitely important. It's also about using it smarter. Think about things like insulation in your home, energy-efficient appliances, and even just being mindful of your energy consumption. These small changes might seem insignificant, but they can add up to big savings, both in terms of energy and money. It's like finding those loose coins in your couch cushions. It might not seem like much at first, but over time it can really add up. So let's fix those energy leaks and start using energy more efficiently. Let's talk about transportation, because let's face it, we all need to get from point A to point B. But here's the thing. Our current transportation systems are heavily reliant on fossil fuels, and that's a problem for our zero carbon goals. Think about it. Cars, trucks, planes, they all burn fossil fuels, releasing harmful emissions into the atmosphere. In fact, transportation is one of the largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions globally. But don't despair, there are solutions on the horizon. We're seeing a surge in electric vehicles, from sleek Teslas to electric buses, that are changing the way we think about transportation. And it's not just about cars. We're also exploring alternative fuels like biofuels and hydrogen, as well as investing in public transportation and cycling infrastructure. Food, glorious food. It's something we all need, but have you ever stopped to think about the carbon footprint of your plate? Agriculture, while essential for our survival, is a major contributor to greenhouse gas emissions. From deforestation to livestock methane emissions, the way we produce our food has a significant impact on the environment. But here's the good news. There's a growing movement towards sustainable agriculture practices that are better for the planet and for us. Think regenerative farming, which focuses on improving soil health and sequestering carbon, or reducing food waste, which not only reduces emissions but also saves money. Supporting local farmers' markets, choosing plant-based meals more often, and composting food scraps are all small but meaningful steps we can take to make our diets more sustainable. We live in a world of disposables where it's easy to throw things away without a second thought. But all that waste has to go somewhere, and more often than not, it ends up in landfills, releasing methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Reducing waste and embracing recycling is like giving our planet a much-needed detox. It's about rethinking our relationship with stuff and finding ways to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Simple things like using reusable bags and water bottles, composting food scraps, and choosing products with minimal packaging can make a big difference. Remember, one person's trash can be another person's treasure. Let's get creative with upcycling, support businesses that prioritize sustainability, and strive to live a less wasteful lifestyle. Let's be real, individual actions are important, but we also need systemic change to truly tackle the climate crisis. That's where government policies come in. Governments have the power to enact policies that promote renewable energy, invest in sustainable infrastructure, and hold corporations accountable for their environmental impact. From carbon pricing to renewable energy standards, government policies can create a level playing field and incentivize businesses to transition to a low-carbon economy. It's like setting the rules of the game. By creating policies that support sustainability, governments can encourage innovation, create jobs, and protect our planet for future generations. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the scale of the climate crisis. You might be thinking, what difference can I make? I'm just one person. But here's the thing. Every single action, no matter how small, has a ripple effect. Think of it like the butterfly effect. A butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil and it sets off a chain reaction that eventually causes a tornado in Texas. Okay, maybe not literally, but you get the idea. Every time you choose to walk or bike instead of driving, every time you refuse a single-use plastic straw, every time you support a sustainable business, you're creating a ripple effect that inspires those around you. Never underestimate the power of your actions. They have the potential to inspire your friends, your family, and maybe even your entire community to make more sustainable choices. Let's take a moment to celebrate the incredible individuals and communities around the world who are leading the charge towards a zero-carbon future. From indigenous communities protecting their rainforests to cities implementing ambitious climate action plans, there are countless stories of hope and inspiration out there. There's the story of the small island nation that's become a global leader in renewable energy, or the community garden that's transforming a food desert into an oasis of fresh produce. These stories remind us that change is possible, that even in the face of overwhelming challenges, there are people who are working tirelessly to create a better future. Let their stories inspire you, empower you, and remind you that together we can create a world where we not only survive, but thrive. So there you have it, a crash course in all things zero carbon. It's a big, complex issue, but it's also an incredibly exciting opportunity to reimagine our world. Remember, every small action counts. Together we can achieve a zero carbon future. The future depends on what we do in the present. Mahatma Gandhi. Let's channel our collective energy, our creativity, and our passion into building a more sustainable, equitable, and just world for generations to come. The future is in our hands. Let's make it a bright one.